What's up, guys? Nintenjoel here once again, and it is time for a top 10 video. I haven't done one of those in forever, and to be honest, I can't even remember if I've done this before for this system, but we're going to do a top 10 NES games. We've got a stack of games right here, and some of them are going to surprise you, some of them are very obvious, beloved classics, but the thing that I'm going to be doing different is I'm not going to have any repeats of franchises. In other words, if I did, this video would have all 4 Dragon Warriors in it, but no, it's only going to be 1 Dragon Warrior and like 1 Mario, and yeah, only 1 game per franchise, so it's not full of, Dragon Warriors. So, okay, so we're going to go in order here of 10th place to 1st place, from so-called worst to last. What? That doesn't even make sense. From 10th best to 1st best, I guess, but keep in mind, this is my opinion. These are my opinions. This is from my collection. These NES games right here, they're what I've played, and, I haven't played every NES game, so take from it what you will, but this is my list, and here we go. So number 10, we've got Kirbys Adventure. Super great platformer that I really didn't play until I was an adult, and my friend Kevin got me into this. I think it's better if I hold it with this hand, but yeah, my friend Kevin got me to start playing this, and I really loved it. I fell in love with the Kirby games and never really knew how great they were, and taking enemies' powers and being able to use them against them, and the music and just the whole atmosphere of the game is really fun. It's very bright, colorful, super fun game. If you've never played a Kirby game before, that's actually a great place to start. That's where I started. And speaking of my buddy Kevin, number 9 was actually given to me by him, and this is a spendy game, but this one's not spendy because it's just, rare, because it's uncommon or whatever. This one's spendy because it's really good, and it's kind of uncommon. But that's Knack. That would be my number 9 pick. And this is another game that I never played until I was an adult, and this is definitely the best shooter on the system by far. It's really incredible how fast this shooter is. The pace is frantic, barely any slowdown, and also another thing that I really appreciate about Knack is it's not incredibly hard. You can get through the first few levels fairly easily, and it's just not like 1942, 1943, those games just seem so hard to me. But Knack seems like a great balance of a really good game that works really well, it plays really well, and you can actually get a lot of fun out of it, even if you're not the greatest shoot-'em-up player. So, and then this next one is yet another. I think all the rest of these I played when I was a kid, yeah, except for these first 3, these 10, 9, and 8. Number 8 is Metal Storm. I never played this until I was an adult either, and this quickly became one of my favorite NES games of all time. It is absolutely a classic. If you don't know the mechanics of this game, you are a cybernetic robot, and you can flip gravity, so you'll be walking on the ceiling, and then you can reflip it, so you're walking back on the ground, and it is not a gimmick. You absolutely need to use it, and you need to use it a lot. The level design is really creative and well balanced, and again, kind of like Knack, you can play the first few levels of it without too much difficulty, and the difficulty does ramp up after a while for sure, but it's definitely a playable game. It's really fun. The music's great, the graphical style is good, and the robot looks awesome. So yeah. Number 7, absolute classic. I played this when I was a kid, and I mean, who didn't play this when they were a kid? Probably some people, but man, the ones that did, they probably love this game. I know I do. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Oh man, this is such a good game. This is absolutely one of the best games ever. It's not just a boxing game. It's got full of personality and cartoony aspects and all kinds of little tricks you need to learn and know how to do, and it's all about timing, and man, when you get to the later guys, the timing is absolutely crazy how good you have to be. And I've never actually beaten Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! I've gotten to Mike Tyson before, but I've never actually beat him. But I have not tried in a really, really long time, so that's something I actually want to try to do one day, is try to beat Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! But definitely a solid choice for number 7. Number 6 is a game that I definitely played as a kid. I had this when I first got my NES, and in my opinion, this is the best Mega Man in the franchise, and that is Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2 is by far the funnest, had the most creative bosses. It was just so different, and Mega Man 1, it was like the pilot of a TV show, you know what I mean? And this was like the full-fledged, here's the first season, and it's the real good shit. And yeah, Mega Man 2 is super good, and again, comes down to music, playability, This one's not the hardest Mega Man there is. Definitely Mega Man 1 is the hardest one in my opinion. But you can get through most of it fairly easily. But man, the music, the graphical style, and again, the level design, this is all sounding very familiar. All of these games in this top 10 list have incredible design and playability, and yeah, it's just great stuff. Okay, so the next game. Already down to the top 5. So, number 5, Legend of Zelda. Oh yeah, this is my childhood copy, my gold childhood copy. I actually still have my gold other one too. Took really good care of them. I got this when I first got my NES also from a neighbor that lived behind me. And yeah, it's a super fun game. It's really, really fun. I keep looking at the screen in case you're wondering, just like making sure that I can see where the game is. But anyways, yeah, Legend of Zelda, really good. I mean, it's not the best Zelda in the series. I feel like of the ones that are above view like this, Link to the Past is probably the best, but this is definitely up there. The top 3 for me of the overhead ones would be Legend of Zelda, Minish Cap, and Link to the Past. But this definitely, on the NES, is the best Zelda for sure. Zelda 2 is fun. I do like Zelda 2. It's just so hard, and it's so different, and it's not overhead view, which I love overhead view. But yeah, Legend of Zelda, great place to start, man. Great place to start. And again, if this video had more than one Mario game in it, then it would just be a Mario Fest and a Dragon Warrior Quest. So I had to choose the best Mario for the NES. And in case you're not sure what that is, Mario 3, for sure. In my opinion, it's the best one on the NES. Only to be beaten by Mario World later on. But Mario 3 is a super good game. Again, level design, and atmosphere. The music for this and the tone, the overworlds in between, the little overworld in between levels is really creative and nice, and like the dancing trees and stuff in the second world, and the secrets, tons and tons of secrets, and that gives you a lot of replayability. And it's Mario. This is what NES is built on. That's really what NES is built on. So definitely a super good one at number 4. And is that number 4? There's a tiny little fly in here. Okay, so at number 3. This is a classic, and one of the reasons that got me into RPGs. Not the reason, but definitely a reason, and as far as I know, this is also my childhood copy, but Final Fantasy. First Final Fantasy. Is it the best Final Fantasy? Not at all. Not even close. But maybe 9 goes to that honor. No, 6 does, but then 9, and then 7. In my opinion. But anyways, Final Fantasy 1, still great though. And it was really unusual because you can pick your own party. You can have like 2 fighters. That's what I usually did. I usually did 2 fighters, a black mage, and a white mage. Sometimes I did the fighter, red mage, white mage, black mage, but just depended on my mood and what I wanted to do. I never really used the Kung Fu guy much. Maybe I should. Might actually have to start this up again. I never actually beat the NES version of this. I got to the last boss after multiple bosses in a row, got my ass kicked through this giant dungeon. Oh my god. And I was just like, I don't even want to. And then shortly after, I got Final Fantasy Dawn of Souls, which I think I have back here. And that's Final Fantasy 1 and 2. And the Final Fantasy 1 is much more balanced and fixed a lot of problems that were on this one. But this is still a classic. It got me into RPGing for sure. Or one of them. And then sitting solid at number 2 for sure. Like, this was a no-brainer at all. This is my second favorite NES game of all time. I remember seeing this. I had this friend in the Bay Area. His name was Alexander, and he was like a year or 2 younger than me. And his dad was really into video games. Like, I think he did something in electronics or sold electronics, because he always had like the coolest new stuff. And I remember going into his office one day, and when I was over there playing with Alex, and he was playing Metroid, and I was like, "What are you playing?" And he's like, "Oh, this is Metroid. You have to explore, and you have to get items." And he just explained the whole thing to me about how you had to explore, and you couldn't reach new areas until you got these items. And I was super fascinated as a kid with Metroid, and I'm not even sure I played it as a kid. I think I played it as a teenager. I don't think I got my copy until way later. And then Super Metroid, not long after that, I got Super Metroid, and that's just such a step up. But yeah, Metroid, definitely a solid 2. God, it's such a good game. Definitely one of the best. And I mean, obviously I was talking about Dragon Warrior, so which Dragon Warrior is it? Is it Dragon Warrior 1, which basically started my RPG adventures along with Final Fantasy? Or is it Dragon Warrior 2, which is a great game with a great story and definitely a huge step up from the first game, but is pretty convoluted. Pretty convoluted. Not that easy to navigate on the NES version. I actually beat the second game and the third game on Game Boy Color. I've never beat the NES versions of them, but they're great. And then the third game, which a lot of people consider the best game ever, the third game is really good. It's got a great story and even more expanded the world and absolute killer music, and everything about it was great. And then there's Dragon Warrior 4, which had the 5-chapter thing, and, it's like, which one do I choose? They're all so good, but it's always going to be 4. It's always going to be 4. 4 is actually in my top 10 games of all times list, if not top 5 games of all times list. This is absolutely one of the greatest RPGs ever made. It's a great starting point for anybody that hasn't played Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest. It takes everything from the first 3 games, expands them greatly. There's tons of secrets. There's tons of areas. The map is huge. And there's just so many different scenarios and things to do. You're stomping around in a giant robot. There's this huge cave with deadly monsters that you have to sail through. And there's, you have a merchant, and you have these 5 chapters where every chapter you've got different characters, and then the 5th chapter brings them all together for this epic quest that's just as long as the first 4 chapters combined, if not longer. It's very epic, and it's definitely my number 1 pick for the NES. So that's it, man. That's my list. It may not be like anybody else's list. I'm sure some people are going to be like, where's Contra? Where's Castlevania? Where's Dr. Mario, one of my favorite games? Well, those sit solidly at like 11, 12, 13, respectively. Gargoyle's Quest 2, another good one that I truly love. There's some Famicom games that are really good, but I'm going to probably do a separate, maybe a top 5 Famicom games, since I haven't played a ton of those. But some surprising ones that almost made it to the list that you'd be like, really? Tiny Toons Adventure, the first one. Man, I played the crap out of that when I was a kid. Really good game. Batman, first Batman. Hell, Batman Returns. Great games. There's so many great games, and there's some, like Kabuki Quantum Fighter, not a lot of people really know about. Shatterhand is a favorite of mine. There's so many favorites. Tetris, although I prefer the Game Boy version of Tetris. But that's a whole other story. I want to know what you guys' top 10 list is, and if you want, make a response video. Does anybody do that anymore? Just seems like nobody does that anymore. I don't care if you have the cartridges or not. Just talk about the games. That'd be awesome. Or, if anything, in the comments below, just let me know. What are your top 10 NES games? Am I absolutely crazy with my list? My phone's blowing up. Jeez. But, yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you guys don't think I'm completely wacky by not including things like Contra and Castlevania, but it's only 10 games, and, oh, man, and some of those almost made it. Knack was almost not in there for Castlevania 1, which is an absolute classic, but at the same time, it's like, or 3. And I was like, I love Knack, so Knack's just a recent one, so it feels weird to be in the top 10, but there it is. That may change any day. This list is subjective, and it's up to you how you interpret my list, or think it's good or bad or whatever, but I'd love to know what you guys' list is. If this is your first time on the channel, please subscribe. That'd be awesome. Please like the video. That'd be cool. Comment. Hit that bell notification if you want to see more videos. Check out my Let's Plays and check out my live videos. I do live streams all the time, and some of them are quite fun. So yeah, that'd be cool if you can join for that, but that's all I have for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Keep rocking the retro games!